Jessie here. I'm back with another video, and in today's video we are actually going to be doing my first paycheck in the month of April, the budget for that. I started out here on this page though because I wanted to let you know that if you are interested in seeing how I set up my budget planner for the month of April, including my monthly calendar here, and which of the budget mom pages that I use and everything else. I just got done filming that video. It was posted earlier this week, so I will link it for you in the little card here. Is it here or here? And a little card up top as well as down below. Make sure you check that out if you're interested in seeing how I got this all set up. But today we are going to be working on my first paycheck of April. We received our first paycheck of April on, let's see, let's go back to my little calendar here. On April 7th. So this will be the paycheck for April 7th, 2020. And we are working with paycheck number 1. So you might be asking, Jessie, why are you just now doing your paycheck number 1's budget when it's already the 7th of the month? And that is because I received, or my husband received rather, his paycheck the last day of March, his previous paycheck. So even though I was paying April bills with that paycheck, the income came in March, so that is part of my March budget. If you want to check out that video, I will link that for you as well. But for now, we are working with paycheck number 1 for April 7th, 2020. We're going to be paying bills from April 7th to April 13th, so everything on my little calendar that fell between those dates will get paid with this income. And the amount of money that we are going to be working with for our income for this week is $1,000. Now this is not simply my husband's paycheck. This is also money that we rolled over from last week. So this is also a number that we have rounded down. So I always, like I say every week, round my estimated income up, and I round, or I'm sorry, as I say every week, I always round our estimated income down and our estimated bills up. That way I am covered. We also like to roll money over week to week from previous paychecks because my husband is paid based on commission, so he does not get the same paycheck every single week. We don't always know what to expect. Sometimes it's a little bit less than the previous week, sometimes it's a little bit more, so we just combat that unknown by making sure that we save a little bit of money from each paycheck and move it forward to the next paycheck so that we're covered. Hopefully that makes sense. So the bills that we are paying this week are capital 1. And I am estimating that that is going to be about $70. We're going to pay Hulu this week, and that we are going to budget $12 for. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. I decided to write this in with you guys this week. I don't always do that. A lot of times I have this all written out already and we just kind of go over it. That's a little bit easier, but it is what it is. We have Disney Plus, and we're going to budget $7 for that. Spectrum is my cable internet bill that is coming due this week, and we have a budgeted amount of $70 for that. So those are all of the bills that are due this week, but also under the bills category, I put our weekly expenses. Anything that gets paid through my bank or through my debit card gets put into this bills category. So we have groceries, which I have budgeted $100 for. So we'll put that in. Gasoline, I always budget $50, even though gas prices are super low right now, and we are still, sheltering in place, staying home as much as possible, so we're not really going anywhere. But I always budget $50. And I will actually address something about the gas budget when I go into my sinking funds as well. Household, this is just the money that we put aside to cover anything that I use through Amazon Subscribe and Save. So, you know, our toilet paper, paper towels, laundry detergent, that's all household expenses, and we budget $30 a week for that. We have a camper that sits on an annual campground site, and we always put aside $60 a week to cover that annual fee. Everyplate this week. If you're not familiar with everyplate, it is a meal kit delivery service, sort of like HelloFresh or Home Chef. Everyplate is a more affordable option that my family and I have been getting. And this week we are budgeting $30 for that. For my family, we get the box that is 3 meals with 4 servings each. And with the cost of the box and the shipping, it comes out to, I believe, $65 or $70, something like that for the week, but I have never paid full price. Between the deals that I've managed to find and credits I've received from other people signing up and stuff, I've never had to pay full price. And the amount that I have to pay for the box this week is $30 because I had some credits. So that is what I have budgeted there. And lastly for our bills is Austen's allowance. Austen is my 12-year-old. He does extra chores throughout the house and stuff, and we give him $20 a month, and we typically do that during the first or second paycheck of the month. Just depends. It's not like a set date or anything, but we're going to pay him out this week, and that's $20. So I'm going to grab my phone here and add it up because those are all of the bills that we're paying this week. So let me just open up my calculator here. And we're going to add 70 plus 12 plus 7 plus 70 plus 100 plus 50 plus 30 plus 60 plus 30 plus 20, and that equals 449. So our bills total for this week we'll put here next to the bill total for $449, and then we will take this $1,000 income total that we started with and subtract 449 from that, and that will give us $551 left over to take to our next category, which is cash envelopes. So 551. For cash envelopes, we're gonna go super simple this week. Typically when things are normal and we don't have a pandemic on our hands, we have 4 cash envelopes. We put aside cash for miscellaneous expenses, we put aside cash for my spending, my husband's spending, and eating out. But we are in a pandemic right now and things are a little bit different. I don't need spending money because I'm not leaving my house. I've pretty much been isolating here in my house for the last couple of weeks. I don't go anywhere, so I don't need spending money. I'm not shopping. We're also, as a family, not eating out. We have just chosen to eat lots of meals at home and avoid, you know, having food that other people have prepared, just to be on the safe side. So we're not having eating out money. We also don't have any miscellaneous expenses because, again, we're not going out. So the only cash envelope that we are doing for now is my husband's spending. My husband is considered essential. He is still working, so I like him to have some cash on hand for anything that he needs while he's out and about away from the house. And for that budget, we're going to do $40. So I will pull out $40 in cash from the bank and give that to him. But the rest of our cash envelopes that we typically stuff, we're just not doing that for now. So I'm going to take that $551 that we had left over and subtract 40, and that leaves us with $511 left over to move to our sinking funds. So again, with the pandemic, we put our sinking funds on hold for a couple of weeks, but then starting last week, we decided we still want to contribute to our sinking funds. So we have been doing that. We are going to contribute to sinking funds. We'll take the cash out of the bank and put them aside for our sinking funds, with the knowledge that if we need to use that money because my husband, can't work because he gets sick, or the government shuts us down and we all have to stay home completely, we can always pull that cash back out of our sinking funds to use in an emergency. So that is the plan. If you're not familiar with sinking funds and you have no idea what I'm talking about, sinking funds are mini savings goals, essentially. These are expenses that you know are coming. They're not necessarily weekly or monthly expenses, but they're expenses that you know you need to be prepared for. So things like car maintenance. You know that inevitably your car is going to need to be maintained, whether it needs an oil change or it has a flat tire or whatever. So you save a little bit of money here and there and set it aside, and that is your car maintenance sinking fund. Or a better example, I guess, easier to understand, would be Christmas. You know that Christmas comes every year on December 25th. You know that you always spend money on Christmas, or at least I do. So knowing that I have Christmas coming, I save a little bit every single paycheck and set it aside so that come Christmas, come December, we don't have to swipe a credit card to make sure that our kids have gifts under the tree. So we have several sinking funds. We do not fund them every single week. Some we only fund once a month. Sometimes some we only fund, 3 times a year, whatever. But every single week I like to set some money aside for some sinking funds. So the sinking funds that we are going to fund with this week's paycheck are our anniversary. My husband and I just celebrated 14 years of marriage last week. And we are already saving money to have some sort of celebration next year for our 15th. We're hoping to maybe have a little mini getaway or something. We haven't really made a plan for what we're going to do yet, but we know we want to have some money set aside for that. So we are saving $25 this week for that. Next, we are funding our car tags and maintenance fund, and we are setting aside $25 for that as well. Next up is Christmas. I sincerely hope you guys can see what I'm doing here. And for Christmas, we are going to set aside $30 this week. We have gasoline. So I told you guys when I was writing out my bills that I would talk to you guys a little bit about gasoline when we got to sinking funds. So we're here now. So I've been budgeting $50 every week. And because gas prices are super low, we paid $1.23 a gallon the other day. And because we're not going anywhere, we are not coming anywhere near that $50 a week for gas. And something that we used to do all the time was we would pull out our $50 in gas money at the beginning of the week when we got paid. We would pay for our gas in cash, and then anything that we had left over at the end of the week, we would put into a sinking fund to have during the summer months when we drive a lot more, when we have a lot more events, and when we're going back and forth to our camper all the time. It just costs more money for us in gas during the summer than it does during the winter months. We kind of stopped doing that at the beginning of the year when I moved more towards this budget by paycheck method of budgeting. But my husband suggested that we start doing that again. So I'm going to set up a gasoline sinking fund, and how we are going to decide what gets put in that gas sinking fund is based on how much gas we used the previous week. So for example, last week when I sat down and did my budget, we budgeted $50 for gas. Sorry you guys, my phone's going off. But we only spent $17 of our gas budget. So we're going to take that $50 that we had set aside last week for gas, subtract that 17, and this week we are going to put aside $33, the difference essentially, into our gasoline sinking fund. So that's a new sinking fund I'm starting this week. It won't always get money put in it, but this way we have a little bit of money stashed aside for gas when gas prices inevitably go back up, or when we have longer trips that we want to take, that sort of thing. Hopefully that makes sense. I know that that might be a bit confusing, but that's what we've decided to do. So our gasoline sinking fund is going to get $33. Next up, I have another new sinking fund I'm starting today, and that is for my P.O. box. If you are not familiar, I do have a post office box. I haven't been saving money for that, and that bill actually just came due. I had to spend $45 that I wasn't prepared for. I just totally forgot about it. So that had to come out of my regular weekly budget last week. So moving forward for next year, when I have to renew that, I want to make sure that I have money set aside for that so that doesn't happen again. So we are going to start a new sinking fund today for the P.O. Box, and we're going to add $10 to that. Next up is school expenses. So school has been shut down for the rest of the year per our governor, but the expenses don't really stop. You know, inevitably they will be back in school and they will need things, whether it be school clothes, school supplies, a yearbook, you know, school pictures, whatever it is. So we're continuing to save money for that, even though the school year is over this year. So we're going to put $25 in that fund. And the last fund we are funding this week is vacation. We do have some trips planned. Like I said, lots of camping trips over the summer. We also have a trip planned to an indoor water park this summer. I don't know at this point if those things are going to happen based on this whole pandemic, but I'm going to continue to save money as if they are happening. And if they don't happen, then that money will be there for when our lives inevitably go back to normal. So we're going to put $25 aside for that. So that is all of our sinking funds for the week. I'm going to add all of these up. So 25 plus 25 plus 30 plus 33 plus 10 plus 25 plus 25. So our sinking fund total is $173. So I'm going to take that $511 that we had left over after we did our cash envelopes. I'm going to subtract the 173, and that leaves us with $338 left over. So we're going to bring that $338 down to our next category here, which is extra debt. So my husband and I do have some credit card debt. We do have some debt in terms of our truck that we are making payments on and our camper that we are making payments on. So we have debt. One of our goals with this budgeting every week is to pay off debt. So we are using the debt snowball method. And that's just essentially where you take your minimum payments and you pay minimum payments to all of your debt except for the debt that you are currently working on, which is typically your lowest amount. So if you have 3 credit cards and one you owe $100 on, one you owe $1,000 on, and one you owe $1,200 on, typically with the debt snowball, you work on the lowest one first. So you would set your goal to pay off that $100 one. And then as you pay them off, you take the minimum payments that you were paying on those and you add it to your debt snowball. So, you know, once you pay off that $100 credit card, say your minimum payment was $25 and your debt snowball amount was $50. So once you pay off that $100 credit card, you would add that $25 that you were paying in minimum payments to your $50 snowball, and your new debt snowball would be $70. I know this isn't like a super great explanation, but that pretty much explains the debt snowball method. It's the method of paying off debt that Dave Ramsey recommends. I don't follow all of Dave Ramsey's principles, but we do use the debt snowball. Anyways, our debt snowball amount currently per week, because my husband gets paid every week, is $112. So typically, again, when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, we would take that $112 every week and send it right to the debt that we are currently working on. However, with the uncertain times, the way we have decided to do our debt snowball is we are just pulling this amount out in cash, setting it aside in an envelope with the rest of our sinking funds, and we are just going to hold on to it. That way, should something come up, my husband loses his job, whatever, we have that money that we can use to pay our bills in that scenario. But if everything stays good and we are able to maintain living a normal life, when all of this is over and life goes back to normal, we will take everything that is in that debt snowball envelope and just pay it all out at once. So that's the way we've decided to do it. And our debt snowball, as I said, is $112. So our extra debt total is $112. So let me pull out my trusty calculator here again. And we will take that $338 that we had left over after we did bills and envelopes and sinking funds. We will subtract that $112, and that will leave us with $226 to take to the next category, which is our extra savings category and the final category. So this category is where we do our extra savings. This is April savings, which is part of a 2020 Savings Challenge course that I am part of through the Budget Mom. It was a $10 course that I signed up for. I will link it all down below for you, all that information. But for April savings, this week we are setting aside $50, and that's also Savopoly, which is another savings challenge that I have chosen to follow. I will link Savopoly down below as well. I talked all about Savopoly and what it is in my April budget setup video, so if you want more information, you can check that out, but that amount is $15. And that is it for extra savings, and that's just money that I am saving with no particular purpose in mind. It's just extra money, essentially. So while our sinking funds have a specific purpose, we are saving money for vacation or gas or whatever, the extra savings is just, extra with no specific goal. So our savings total is $65. That's 50 plus 15. And I'm going to take that $226 that we had left over and subtract 65. And that is going to leave $161 left over. And that will be the amount that I roll over into next week's budget. So that will be added to my husband's paycheck and any other income sources that we have, and that will be our income total for next week. So that is the budget for April 7th. So the next thing I need to do is figure out how much cash I need to pull out of the bank and in what denominations, and I use the cash envelope breakdown here in my Budget by Paycheck Workbook to do that. So there's a section here for categories. So what I do is I look at all of the budget items here in my budget, and I find the ones that we pay cash for. So that is our envelopes, our sinking funds, our extra debt, and our extra savings right now. That's all coming out in cash. And so I will write all of those categories down as well as the amounts and go through and do the cash breakdown. So let me go ahead and write the categories and the amounts, and then I'll show you how the cash breakdown works. All right, you guys, so I went ahead and put in all of our categories and the amounts, and now we're gonna do the cash breakdown. So, for example, for my husband's spending, it's $40. He likes to take out his $40 in $20 bills. So, sorry about my cat in the background, you guys. So $40 is 2 20s, so we're gonna break that down there. For anniversary, we want 25, so that's 120 and 15. For car tags and maintenance, again, 25, that's a 20 and a 5. Christmas is 30, that's a 20 and a 10. Gasoline is 33, so that's a 20, a 10, and 3 ones. For P.O. Box, it's 10, so we just want a 10. School expenses, 25, that's a 20 and a 5. For debt snowball, it's 112, so we want 100, a 10, and 2 ones. And I just wrote that in the wrong space. Good thing I have my erasable pens here. I skipped over vacation. So vacation is 25, a 20, and a 5. Debt snowball is 112, that's a 100, a 10, and 2 ones. April savings is $50, so we'll take a 50 for that. And Savopoly is 15, that's a 10 and a 5. So then I will just go down the list here and count them up for our total bill count. So we have 3, 4, 5 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 20s, 1 $50, and 1 $100 bills. So 5 ones is $5, 5 fives is $25, 5 tens is $50. 8 20s is $160. 150 is $50, and 100 is $100. So then I will just add up the total value of bills and make sure that it equals my total amount that I needed here, which is $390. So 5 plus 25 plus 50 plus 160 plus 50 plus 100 is $390. So that's accurate. And then I just take my teller slips here from the Budget Mom that I ordered. These are just on sticky notes, so it makes it super easy to write the totals down and pull this off and hand it to my husband, who can then take it to the bank and hand it to the bank teller to get all of the denominations that we need. So I will just transfer this information here. 5 ones is 5. Oops. Again, good thing I use erasable pen. I love these Parkoo erasable pens. I highly recommend them. 5 5s is 25. 5 10s is 50. 8 20s is 160. Serious. 150 is $50. Sorry, you guys, he really wants to go outside. He's not an outdoor cat, but every time spring rolls around, he just cries at the door all the time to go out. 100. So the total amount to withdrawal is $390, and we will just take this to the bank and get the cash that we need, and then I will be back to stuff all of my cash envelopes. Alright, you guys, I am back to do my cash envelope stuffing. It is a new day. The first half of this video was filmed yesterday, so a couple of disclaimers. If my lighting is different, that has something to do with it. Also, every window in my house is open. It's like 70 degrees outside. It's beautiful. I had to let the weather in, but that also means I'm letting, outside sounds in, so things like car engines and kids screaming because they're out playing are bound to happen in this video. I apologize. Anyways, I sent my husband to the bank and he brought me the cash that I need to stuff my cash envelopes. So I'm going to open up my Happy Planner. This is the same Happy Planner I've been using, by the way. I just flipped the cover over so that it looked a little bit different. I wanted a change. I'm loving the black and white stripes. So I'm going to flip to my budgeting pages here so we can figure out what our cash envelopes need to be stuffed with. So I'm going to turn to the proper page here, and I'm going to set this off to the side and bring in my cash envelopes. So I'm not pulling out the cash envelopes from my wallet because, as previously stated, we're not really doing those cash envelopes right now with everything going on. So the only thing I need to pull out in terms of spending money is $40 for my husband. This is his spending money for the week. This will go right into his wallet so that he has money to spend throughout the week. Everything else that we're doing is essentially savings. So it's our sinking funds and our extra savings, and that all goes into my little accordion folder here. So I'm going to go ahead and get that opened up, and we will start stuffing our envelopes. So the first of the cash envelopes that we are stuffing this week is our anniversary. Zoom you guys in here. So our anniversary is sitting at $25 saved right now, and we are going to add an additional $25 today. So today is April 7th. It's actually not April 7th. That's just the date of the paycheck. It makes it easier for me to keep dates straight if I just use the date of the paycheck. We're going to add $25. So I'm going to go into my stack of cash here and pull out a 20 and a 5 and add that to the 25 that we already had in our anniversary fund, which means we should have $50. And I'll just count it out: 20, 40, 45, 50. So that's $50. Our anniversary is not until March 2021, so we got plenty of time to save for a nice anniversary celebration. I'm going to stick that back behind the tab there. Next up, we have car tags and maintenance. And my car tags and maintenance fund currently has $254 in it. Focus, there we go. And that is for renewing our car tags in January when that comes around, and also any maintenance, so oil changes for our truck or our car, that sort of thing. We are going to add $25 more today, so that's 47 plus 25. And that should mean we have 279 in our account if my math is accurate. So let me pull out a 20 and a 5. And we'll go ahead and count this up and make sure that that's accurate as well. Stick the denominations in here where they go. And we'll count this really quickly. So we have 100, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 210, 230, 240, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 76, 77, 78, 279. So that is accurate as well. That'll go right back behind the car tags and maintenance tab. And I just keep all of my sinking funds in this accordion folder. By the way, this is what it looks like when it's open. I love this because it will open and stand up flat. It's got a flat bottom, and that makes it super easy to work with the different categories here without my accordion folder constantly falling over. So I love that. I will link this down below. It's from Amazon. All right, zoom you guys back in and we'll move on to the next category, which is Christmas. So I keep my Christmas savings in this cash envelope. This was a printable from thebudgetmom.com. This was actually part of her 2020 Savings Challenge course. It is a course that you can pay and sign up, and you are given all of the tools and tips you need to save money in the year of 2020. So my Christmas savings right now is sitting at $350, which is phenomenal. And we are going to add $30 more today, which should mean we are up to 380. So we're going to add a 20 and a 10. And we'll go ahead and count this up here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 50, 60, 70, 80. $380 towards Christmas 2020. Again, I apologize for the background noise. Everyone in my family is home right now, so in addition to the noises from outdoors, you're also hearing people meandering through the house. All right, next up, we have that new sinking fund I talked about, which is gasoline. So I'm going to be taking any money that I did not spend last week on gas, and we're just going to set it aside so that we have a little bit of extra money for when gas prices inevitably go up, or for extra road trips, that sort of thing. So because it's a new fund, I need to create a new card. I already did the little tab here in my accordion folder. I just used my label maker for that, but I need to set up a card. So on 4/7, we added, how much are we adding today? $33. That's what I had left from the $50 that I budgeted last week. So that means our gasoline fund will sit at $33 until, we can add some more money to it. There won't always be money left over from our gas budget, but when there is, it'll get added right to this fund, and we'll have it whenever we need some extra gas money. So we're going to add a 20, a 10, and 3 ones. That's 20, 30, 31, 32, $33 for our gasoline fund. I'm going to stick that right behind the gasoline tab. I love this accordion folder so much. All right, next up is another new sinking fund, and it is my P.O. Box sinking fund. Like I said, I already did the label for that and added the tab for it, but I just need to create a card. So we're gonna create a card. I just do use regular old index cards for this. Makes it super easy. So on 4/7, we are adding $10 to the P.O. Box fund, which means our fund will have $10. Starts out small, but you guys, it builds up. I love sinking funds because I love watching the funds grow week to week or month to month or however often you're adding money to them. So that is our P.O. Box fund. Next up is school expenses. So in our school expenses category, we currently have $195. And today we are going to add another 25. We're going to add a 20 and a 5. And we'll just go ahead and count this up. So we have 150, 60, 70, 80, 90, 210, 215, 220. So that takes care of that. Next up, we have vacation. Our vacation fund currently has $400 in it. We're going to add another 25 today, which should make $425. So we'll add a 20 and a 5. And we will go ahead and count this up. 50, 100, 50, 200, 20, 40, 60, 80, 300, 20, 40, 60, 80, 400, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So hopefully all of our vacation planning will still happen despite the pandemic that's going on. We have some camping trips planned for the summer, which shouldn't be a problem. But we also have an indoor water park that we plan on visiting in August. So hopefully by then everything has calmed down and we will still be able to take that trip. All right, let's put that back. Next up, we have our debt snowball. So like I said earlier in the video, we are just going to hold on to this money for now. And when everything, all the chaos is behind us, we will be able to make one lump sum, hopefully, to our lowest debt. So we're going to add another $112 to our debt snowball, which should mean that we have $224. So we're going to add 100, a 10, and 2 ones. And we'll go ahead and count this up. 100, 200, 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So this will just sit here until we either need it for an emergency or until we get the all clear and we can send this to our next debt in our snowball. Okay, so that's all our sinking funds and debt payments, and now we're going to move to our monthly savings. So we're going to start out with April savings. I have my little April envelope here, which is empty. We're just starting out on April. And we are starting out April by adding $50 to this fund, which is exciting. So we're going to add $50, and that will give us a balance of $50. Makes it super easy. I think every week in April I'm aiming to save $50. I think that was my plan. So hopefully by the end of the month, if all goes well and I'm able to do that, we'll have $200 saved. So got that 50 put in there, and we'll just set this back aside. And the very last category that we are stuffing is $15 to Savopoly, and I do have $15 left, which means I did all my math properly, which is awesome. So we're adding $15. Our fund before had $85. So that means we should be up to $100 even. If everything is correct. So we'll add that money in there and we will get this counted up. 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, $100. And that takes care of my cash envelopes. Alright you guys, so that is going to wrap up my weekly budget video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I enjoyed sharing with you. A little bit awkward filming over the course of a couple of different days, but hopefully it all worked out well. And you were able to glean some helpful information from it, or maybe you were just entertained. Whatever. Yeah, that's going to wrap it up. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Yeah, that's going to do it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you will consider subscribing so that you can come back and check out my other content here on my channel. I would love to have you back. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!